The Buffalo Bills fired the embattled offensive coordinator Ken Dorsey. That news coming down early in the day on Tuesday. They named quarterbacks coach Joe Brady as the interim offensive coordinator, so a lateral move there. Dorsey had been the quarterbacks coach. He was promoted with much fanfare after Brian Daboll went to New York. Daboll's been exposed as a fraud this year with the Giants. But Dorsey was named the new offensive guru. That didn't last very long. And now Buffalo turning to who? Joe Brady, who does have some experience, not good experience, as an offensive coordinator in the NFL. He was a member of a fateful coaching staff in Carolina, Matt Rule's Panthers coaching staff in 2020 and 2021. So let us discuss the question. How do you interpret the Bills whacking Ken Dorsey as the offensive coordinator? So I've got the Complete Idiot's Guide, Rotten Apple, and Blues Brothers. And we will combine all of these things together, and don't blink or you'll miss it. So as has been well known through the history of humanity, actions speak louder than words. So the action tells you that Josh Allen is the coach killer. Josh Allen is responsible for Ken Dorsey losing his job. His piss-poor play is why the Bills decided to do this. They can't get rid of the player. They gave him the contract. He's their forever quarterback, so they had to get rid of the coach. And Bills Mafia, convinced that Josh Allen can do no wrong. Every fumble and every interception, every bonehead play by Josh Allen, none of it is his fault. There's no accountability by Josh Allen. And yet again, the Buffalo Bills continue to insulate Josh Allen with his terrible decision-making. How is that Ken Dorsey's fault that Josh Allen can't hand the football off without dropping it? Now, I'm not saying Dorsey's a good offensive coordinator, but seriously, like, he's getting blamed for all that. It's like all of a sudden Allen the last couple of years is taking stupid pills, and that's Dorsey's fault. So, but Buffalo, if you take a couple steps back and you look out at the Serengeti where the Buffalo roam, you see that the Bills are following a forever guidebook, the Complete Idiot's Guide to Bad Football, the Complete Idiot's Guide to Losing Football. Last week, they hold a players-only meeting with much fanfare. They go out and ride the vomit comet, turning the ball over and over and over and over again. Then they come back and fire Ken Dorsey in a human sacrifice. We all know you got to have a fall guy. You got to have a fall guy. All of this is an effort to salvage their quarterback and at the same time pacify the broken-hearted Bills Mafia. Now, the next move, if you've read the Complete Idiot's Guide to Losing Football, you know the next move is a full nuclear meltdown by wide receiver Stephon Diggs. I didn't sign up for this. I don't understand. It's not fair. I should be playing on a good team. We're not a good team. Now, that already started a little bit with his brother, Trevon Diggs of the Cowboys, starting the fire to get him out of Buffalo. Now, following that, you have head coach Sean McDermott, who will be escorted out of the building in a timely manner. And they're just going to keep recycling coaches until Josh Allen either figures it out and has the come-to-Jesus moment, or his contract runs out and they bring in some other jamoke to play quarterback. But the idea that Joe Brady, the new offensive coordinator, is some kind of messiah based on what he has done, nothing there leads you to believe at the pro level this guy's going to get it done. He failed epically in Carolina. With much fanfare, he was brought into Carolina as a guru there. He was fired mid-season, and under Joe Brady, the Panthers of 2022 had the fourth worst EPA per play. That's a nerd stat, but it was the fourth worst out of 32 teams. All right, moving on. Headline from the Transaction Wire: the Raiders made a roster move. They claimed former Pat, now ex-Pat, Jack Jones off waivers. Now, normally this would not raise to the level of high crimes and misdemeanors. But was there some funny business going on with this particular Raider move to acquire the now ex-Pat, the defensive back, Jack Jones? So I'm nodding my head yes. There was some funny business with this. Does a dog have fleas? Like, this is not your standard waiver wire pickup. Is it also true that Jack Jones worked over the Patriots using a crowbar to escape and slide into the silver and black? Bingo! Now, a source with a very deep Rolodex and intense knowledge and also loose lips tells me that Jack Jones has been sulking for some time. He saw an off-ramp away from the Patriots. You'd think the guy would be in great news. He'd be in a great mood because he's like a cat with 9 lives. How many people can say they brought loaded guns to airport security and got dinged with it and nothing happened? Jack Jones can. He brought loaded weapons, 2 of them, to Logan Airport in Boston, and nothing happened. That's it. He got a second chance, but he's been at loggerheads with the defensive back, Mike Pellegrino, in New England, and he didn't like him. Was not into the whole rigid Bill Belichick approach, and so he was able to play the system. From what we're hearing here, the rotten apple gets what rotten apple wants in this story. Now, why the Raiders? This is when things really picked up. Once Antonio Pierce became the interim coach, this is a deep state tinfoil hat conspiracy, but once Antonio Pierce was promoted to the interim coach, it was go time. It was green light go, and the plan was hatched. Up until then, that was not the plan. Now, that doesn't mean the player wasn't happy, but once the move was made, all of a sudden, Jack Jones had a Cheshire cat smile. The reason he had to play for the Raiders is because Antonio Pierce coached Jack Jones at high school at Long Beach Poly High in SoCal and at Arizona State, was on the Herm Edwards coaching staff. So they've got a very tight bond. And the rumor has it that Antonio Pierce was able to get Jack Jones out of a whole lot of trouble earlier on in his football career. And so now Jack Jones is with the Raiders. Now, moving on. Last word here. Headline, Pittsburgh, PA, where the Steelers have a winning record. They're 3 games above 500, which is stunning considering they're not good, but their record is. Mike Tomlin is aware that things need to improve here, especially the quarterback, Kenny Pickett, not picking it up. And Tomlin said as much. He admitted that Kenny Pickett needs to do more if the Steelers are going to make a deep playoff run. All right, makes sense, right? So Tomlin's admission about Kenny Pickett needing to improve. Is he capable? Is Kenny Pickett capable? So after a minutes-long review, I am shaking my head no. Now, you can't see me, and if you can see me, you're spying and you're a creeper. But the answer is no. Now, we have zero evidence that this jabroni has a second gear. We know he can drive in the slow lane. We know that. But if I look at Pickett, and how would you describe him as a quarterback? He's a basic quarterback. That's who he is, right? He's an ordinary quarterback of little consequence. And Steeler fans, most of the Steeler fans I deal with know this. They're aware of this. Some are in denial. But he's been the lord of mediocrity. And if Pittsburgh needs Kenny Pickett to turn on the afterburners and go vroom, vroom, they're doomed. Mike Tomlin's Steelers are getting a Blues Brothers classic, rubber biscuit at quarterback. That's a wish sandwich, the kind of sandwich where you have 2 pieces of bread and you wish you had some meat. There's no meat there. Where's the beef? Kenny Pickett, by the numbers, and he's played over a year now, well into another season, a year plus, and he has one more game with a passer rating above 100 than you. He has one more game than you have with 2 passing touchdowns. He also has 9 games with no passing touchdowns, 5 games with a passer rating below 70. Now, I didn't play in the NFL, but I do know those numbers suck. I know that, right? And maybe he will rise from the dead and push the shovels away and turn into something. But based on what he has done, there's a lot to complain about. It's not going so well. It's not going so well. And you can be in denial and say, well, it's this guy's fault. It's Matt Canada's fault. That's what they did in Buffalo. They blamed the offensive coordinator. Eventually, the offensive coordinator got fired, and we'll see how that turns out. I don't think it's going to make much of a difference at all, but that's where we are.